Simen Mildal. I work with the Norwegian Maritime Authority with green shipping technologies.
And could you elaborate more on what you talked about in the last session at the conference?
I talk about regulatory development for safe use of hydrogen and ammonia as fuel on board vessels.
You mentioned that there would be guidelines coming out at the end of next year and approval for 2025. Could you provide more details on what those guidelines would be?
There are guidelines that are building on the knowledge from the IGF code and the safety principles, but adapted to the use of hydrogen as fuel and ammonia as fuel, where the aim is to provide the guidance to the industry on how to safely implement new technology, alternative fuels on board vessels, and to provide more knowledge than just the alternative design approach, which is the basis today.
Okay, and how do you feel that Norwegian industry will benefit from these new guidelines?
The Norwegian industry will benefit so that there will be provided guidance. They have specific provisions that they can choose to use as basis for their design. So there will be less technical uncertainty. And I think it's also important to stress that we are also benefiting a lot from the Norwegian industry, from their key takeaways and learning in the design phases and implementing that into the new guidelines. So there is a symbiosis with the first movers developing technology and gaining knowledge, that being adapted in the guidelines and then provided to the rest of the industry as sort of a basis for safety of ships using alternative fuels.
And what do you foresee as the type of ships that would be built with the alternative fuels in the future?
We see interest from all ship segments. Of course, different ships from different technologies. We see compressed hydrogen moving to the more near coastal waters, smaller vessels. Also, Europe trade of container vessels. Liquid hydrogen also implement on the same type of vessels trading in Europe and along the coast, with the larger ships moving to ammonia and methanol. So we see interest from all alternative fuels and also all consumptions means of internal combustion engines and fuel cells. We see that, for instance, the cruise industry are more interested in the hydrogen side due to the smell and toxicity of ammonia, and the cargo vessels moving both into ammonia, hydrogen, and biofuels, methanol, depending on their trade and their perceived availability of the technology and the fuel.
And what do you see for the offshore support vessels and the harbour tugs of the future?
We see interest from both ammonia and also the liquid organic hydrogen carriers to sort of take down the risk of the storage of the fuel. It all depends on their operational sailing distances and the design of the vessels. So,
and where do you see the Norwegian Maritime Authority implementing its resources to enable these vessels being built and operated on alternative fuels?
We have established a section for new maritime technology that are working full-time on gaining knowledge and implementing the design requirements and following up the alternative design process. Those are very long and demanding processes with a lot of technical assessment and risk analysis. But we are gaining knowledge and understand the different technologies and how to implement them, and then can also guide newcomers to the use of alternative fuels and provide our knowledge to them. So we are scaling up, but we see that this is going to be a large tasks in the years that are coming and require a lot of focus and work from also our side.